Talking of historic victories, this week does in fact mark the first 100 days of our new Labour government. And the work of change has begun. And I can remind the House, we've made fiscal responsibility an act so that Liz Truss can never happen again. Set up GB Energy, lifted the moratorium on onshore wind, invested in carbon capture and storage, set up the National Wealth Fund, new ambitious house building targets, ending no-fault evictions and new rights for renters, bringing our railways back into public ownership, new powers to stop river pollution, ended doctor strikes so we can get the waiting lists down, kept our promise to Fegan Murray on Martin's Law, ended one-word Ofsted judgement, set up the Border Security Command, taken swift action on the riots, and we're fixing the prisons crisis that they left behind. We're paving the way for better buses across the country. We've tightened the rules on MPs' second jobs, and we're modernising Parliament and reforming the House of Lords. And today, Mr. Speaker, 97 days after the election, we are introducing the biggest boost to workers' rights in a generation, giving dignity and security at work. Not as a nice extra, but as an integral part of a strategy for a high-wage, high-skilled, growing economy. A new deal for workers that we have worked at pace to deliver. Tackling exploitative zero-hours contracts, ending fire and rehire, day one rights for bereavement and parental leave, and to statutory sick pay. Flexible working for those who want it, boosting productivity, boosting living standards. That's what Labour governments deliver. Twice as many bills in our first 100 days than the same period the Tories did after 2010. That's our work record and we're proud of it. He asks me about a few things. Firstly, on the Chagos Islands, we are committed to making statements to this House first when the House is sitting, as is in our ministerial code. And as the Foreign Secretary made clear in his statement to this House on Monday, proper parliamentary process and scrutiny will of course be followed, including a bill and the full CRAG progress. So I'm sure he'll have ample opportunity to debate that further at that time. And on the winter fuel payments, I know he wrote to me about this issue. In fact, I know he wrote to me because the Sunday Telegraph journalist told me he wrote to me before I actually received his letter. I know he likes to come to Parliament about these things first, but he's reaching desperately for a conspiracy when there just isn't one. We granted a vote on the winter fuel payment because we respect Parliament. His party didn't. We published the equality analysis even though there was no requirement to do so. His party wouldn't have done the same. And we've had to take the very difficult decision we didn't want to make to fill the £22 billion black hole his party left behind. He doesn't want to hear it, but it's the truth. And I'm sorry, I mean, the brass neck, really, of raising standards in Parliament. He and his colleagues voted to change the rules of this House when one of their colleagues was found to be in breach of taking cash for lobbying. His Prime Minister was found in serious breach when he failed to declare a loan he'd received for doing up his flat, a loan that was brokered by somebody that then he gave a job to as the chairman of the BBC. And let's not get into the fast lane mates rates COVID contracts costing taxpayers millions of pounds, or in fact the fact that his government changed the rules on socialising while at the same time partying in Downing Street and lying to this House about it for months on end. We will take no lectures from the party opposite. So whilst we're getting on with changing the country, they are soaking themselves in the comfort of the warm bath of opposition. On the day that we are boosting workers' rights, they're in a race to the bottom on maternity pay. I might gently say to the Honourable Gentleman, it's time they took a cold shower. And yesterday showed they can't even count. Perhaps they should have stuck with the king of the spreadsheets after all. In just 26 parliamentary sitting days, we've delivered more bills and more change to this country than in 14 sorry years of Conservative rule. Yeah.